Hi, I am Marnie Roberts, and I'm doing my theater adaptation over A Midsummer Night's Dream, written by William Shakespeare, who was born in 1564 and died in 1616. We are first going to discuss the original historical and dramatic context for the play. The play was written in 1595 during Queen Elizabeth's first reign and the early parts of Shakespeare's career. During this time, there was political stability, flourishing of the arts, and growing prosperity. The story is a blend of classical mythology and folk fantasy. We can tell that by the names such as Theseus and Hippolyta, but what I really liked about this play is that it is a romantic comedy, which often, when I was exposed to Shakespeare's works, it would often end in tragedy. Even though we thought we would escape it, in the end of the story, when they have another play group inside of this play, that one does end in tragedy. The themes that I've noticed in there was love being unpredictable and changeable, by how often, whether it was magical or there has been some struggles such as infidelity or a long continuous relationship, as we see in the king and queen of fairyland, Oberon and Tatiana. Another major theme that I noticed was the order versus disorder. Order is the Athens, where our main human characters come from, and then the disorder is the fairy realm, which is more freeing and different from the societal hierarchy in the human world. As we see with Herminia and her father tells Herminia that you have to marry Demetrius or you're going to die or go to a nunnery. That is by law. The fairy realm is not like that. It's more freeing, it's more fluid and magical. Some adaptations that I've watched and personally enjoyed was A Summer Night's Dream in 1999, which stayed most consistent to the script. The main thing I loved about it was the visuals and costumes. The next one was the National Theatre Live, A Midsummer Night's Dream, 2019, which I loved the script and the liberations that they took with all the characters. They put some stuff in there that would have shocked people back then. The last one is very loosely based on there, is more inspired by A Midsummer Night's Dream, which is Strange Magic 2015. They didn't keep to the script and they changed quite a few of everything, but they kept to the main plots, which is what I enjoyed, and with the animation visual of it all. The first adaptation I'll be discussing is cutting and changing of scenes. I want to remove the intimate scene between Queen Tatiana and Nick Bottom. I want it to get close but foiled by Oberon's jealousy. I want him to be more jealous, and the fact that back then the intimate scene between the queen and this character would not be seen as too bad, but in today's society it would fall under sexual assault because she did not fully consent due to being under the influence of a love potion. So I want to keep the show very consensual in that way. What I really loved in the live performance adaptation in 2019 was Puck was more spunky. He messed up the love potions even more, causing Herminia and Helena fall in love, Herminia and Demetrius and Lysander, which would have caused a major uproar in society back then. I would also like to make Puck a young satyr, which are often depicted with goat legs, hooves, and sometimes horns on their head. They are portrayed as mischievous and lustful beings with wild and untamed natures. The pan flute is also a symbol of playful, sometimes mischievous, and it is deeply connected to the rhythms of life, which I think reflects Puck's personality and character precisely, and I would like him to play that flute every time he does something mischievous or about to pull a prank. Maybe even his first appearing behind one of the audience members as he's coming up on stage. I do like the irony of Demetrius first wanting to force Herminia to marry him, to then being changed to be forced to love somebody else through a love potion. But again, with the consent thing, I would want to make it to where he's fallen in love with something else, but Helena breaks that spell with True Love's Kiss, and he realizes in the end that, hey, I actually do love Helena, and forcing that theme of true love for the audience in the story. Another thing that'd be beneficial to change is Oberon does not get sole custody of the child. I want there to be shared custody between the two rulers, or they just come together to raise the child. This could result in ongoing tension and conflicts, but it shows the theme of compromise. There isn't a clear winner, and there is no one has more power over the other. In this day and age, we want to show relationships being equal and mutual respect for one another. Another thing I'd love to include in this magical masterpiece is making it into a musical. I believe switching some dialogue with songs to drive the emotion and enhance the experience of the comedy and how fun and wild the fairy realm is would just enhance the chaoticness and how different it is from Athens. For example, the conflict that we see in Act 2 between Tatiana and Oberon, it would be a duet, and when they're singing, they'd have different contrasting rhythms and pitches, but also it goes together so that similarities in their personalities and their goals to obtain power over one another, trying to sing over one another. Another musical method would be what we see in Mamma Mia, where they go off of ABBA songs only. For example, during the scene between Tatiana and Nick Bottom when his head gets turned into a donkey and the queen is madly in love with him, we could have the song playing Do You Think I'm Sexy by Rod Stewart. And with the scene between Helena and Herminia when they're fighting and there's this love confusion, we could have playing The Boy Is Mine by Brandy and Monica. I do suggest that you listen to those songs while you think of those scenes, but I don't want to make this video too long by adding them in. The characters would sing, but the background music would be recorded. I believe adding the musical changes would keep it more modern, but also keeping the essence of the story, and amping up the comedy. It would attract the younger audiences and make them able to follow the story and the emotions more. Continuing on to keep it more modern and fun, we go on to the costumes, which would be a Y2K Renaissance medieval fashion. We see this a lot in movies such as El Enchanted or A Knight's Tale. It's a blend of the old and the new and keeping it into that spot that we want. What I liked from the movie adaptation in 1999 was the wings representing the names of the fairy. Like we have Cobweb, whose wings are literally spider webs. I have made some wings out of cellophane, wire, glue, and spray paint, which shows this iridescent reflection. The wings on Queen Tatiana would be bigger than the rest of the fairies, showing her hierarchy and importance to the story and her power. The makeup will be bold, hair huge, mainly going to focus on the costumes and the story. The set will be moving shadows in the background, where the trees, the transitioning from Athens into the forest, and what I really want to put in is Herminia's father only appearing as a giant shadow to show how much power he has in controlling her and how much society overpowers people in their freedom to love who they want, based on hierarchy. Because the story takes place outside during the summer solstice, I would like it to start at 7:30, and as the story continues, it gets darker during the summer solstice, so it'd probably be around June 21st. I'd like it to be outdoors, where most of the scene is botanical. Some good visuals would be the Madrid Botanical Garden, how we have this arena around the set, or the events and performances Longwood Garden. Another adaptation would be immersive theater. The audience would dress up, Puck might play some pranks, and there would be a team up with culinary students. Act 2 would have some homemade rose latte, edible flour shortbread cookies, and my personal favorite is butterfly pea lemonade with vanilla bean syrup. They would start with a butterfly tea, which is purple, but when it comes in contact with citrus, like the lemonade, it turns pink. So the audience can experience this magical phenomenon within their food and feeling a part of the show. During the Rude Mechanicals rehearsals, they'd be having shipwreck casserole due to how funny and much of a shipwreck their play is going to be. Act 5 would have a mini banquet and dessert course to accompany the wedding. Lastly, I would like the cast to be all women, because during Shakespeare's times of making plays, women were not allowed to be in theater. It would be a wonderful way to reclaim the space and provide roles to women that are usually dominated by men. I was inspired to do this based on the live performance in 2019, where they switched the roles between Tatiana and Oberon. The all-female cast would go perfectly with the themes of transformation, the magic, and how you playfully defy conventionality. All these adaptations keep the core message intact about order versus disorder and how love can be unpredictable. With the costume changing and all-female casting, it goes into the social order and change that we want to see.